1st, 1995.
From NBC News, this is Today with Bryant Gumbel and Katie Curran, live from Studio 1A in Rockefeller Plaza.
And good morning. Welcome to Today on a Tuesday morning. A little bit of an overcast here in Manhattan. We found ourselves yesterday at this time complaining about the hot weather of July, but look at the way August is coming in down in Florida.
That's
kind of dangerous stuff.
We have nothing to complain about, do we? That was upgraded, Erin, from a tropical storm to an actual hurricane at about 11 o'clock last night. It's still a Category 1, but they're still taking major precautions.
Well, they should, too, because what was it? This is the second of the season. Allison came ashore, I guess, about 2 months ago, back in June, caused minimal damage, but they're not taking any chances this time around. We're going to be checking in on this?
That's right, Bryant. We're going to be talking with a forecaster with the National Hurricane Center down in South Florida, and we're also going to be talking with the mayor of Homestead, Florida. Homestead, you might remember, was pummeled by Hurricane Andrew nearly 3 years ago, and of course, they're very concerned about Hurricane Erin. We're going to be talking with him in just a few moments.
We'll also go to a lab, Katie, where they check on construction materials, try to make them hurricane resistant. We'll take a look at the tests they run them through. Some of the names that are with us this morning include Dennis Quaid, Frankie Lane. We're also going to get caught up on the history of the atom bomb, and we'll check the latest news from the OJ courtroom, too. A lot of activity yesterday, a lot of things going on there.
That's right.
Several motions involved. Let's go to the news desk. Get our morning started with Matt Lauer. Matt, good morning.
All right, Bryant and Katie, good morning to you, and good morning, everyone. 3 years after the devastation of Hurricane Andrew, South Florida is bracing for another big storm. This one is called Hurricane Erin. It's weaker than Andrew, but still packing quite a punch. Hurricane warnings are posted for much of South Florida. Landfall is expected later today. NBC's Kenley Jones is with us this morning from Homestead, Florida. As we mentioned, that area took a hard hit from Hurricane Andrew several years ago. Kenley, good morning to you.
Good morning. The effects of Erin are not being felt here in Homestead yet, but that doesn't mean people aren't keeping a wary weather eye out. There was a time when residents of South Florida would have taken a storm like Erin in their stride, but that was before Andrew came ashore here 3 years ago, killing 55 people and causing billions of dollars in damage. The devastation left by Andrew was on everyone's mind as they began preparing for Hurricane Erin, even though it was first described as a minimal storm.
Well, it's not too bad right now, but you can never tell. You know, if it could stall out there and sit a while and intensify, and you never know what they're going to do.
Robert Mann lost $35,000 when Andrew's winds hit his home. This time, he's not taking any chances.
They talk about it having a lot of water, and there's always a possibility of a tornado being in a hurricane. So that's the main reason I'm boarding up.
Residents rush to building supply stores more quickly than they have in the past, to buy plywood to cover windows and glass doors, and to strip shelves of flashlights and batteries. Those who got there late had to wait in long lines for resupply trucks to arrive.
I don't want to even talk about Andrew. Real bad. I hope this hurricane is nothing like Andrew.
Well, the good news is that the damaging winds of Erin are not expected to reach the velocity of Andrew. But the bad news is the severe flooding it could bring could be much worse. Matt?
Kenley Jones in Homestead, Florida this morning. Some areas are too low and exposed for plywood and aluminum to offer much protection. Officials have ordered those areas cleared out. Nick Bogert joins us this morning from one of the areas, Key Largo. Nick, good morning to you.
Good morning, Matt. Now there had been some planned closing of US 1, the only road in or out of the Keys. That was delayed indefinitely last night, so maybe some sense that this is moving to the north. Now, residents here have, in fact, prepared pretty well. They've battened down their homes and their boats. The big dilemma has been for tourists who've been urged by civil defense authorities to leave, but not all of them did. So far, the clouds have provided more beauty than threat for the Berries, tourists from the Isle of Man.
We weren't sure what to do. We rang the police. We weren't sure what to do.
The Berries were a little nervous about staying in wood frame lodgings in Key West. Too many bridges to cross if the storm veered their way, so they drove nearly back to the mainland.
We decided that this was probably a fairly substantial building to take shelter in. It also serves pretty good food.
Few Keys residents appear to have left. Most seem to have secured their property, seem ready to ride this storm out. Waitress Suzanne Zirk remembers the mistake she made in '92 when Hurricane Andrew approached.
We all rushed up to Homestead because of the hurricane, afraid of tidal waves or whatever else. And it was a big mistake. We got hit right in the smack dab in the middle of it.
5 Red Cross shelters have been opened up and down the Keys for people from trailer parks who have been ordered evacuated. 92-year-old Alberta Cameron, who's seen most all the big Florida storms since 1938, came after securing her trailer.
I've done the best I can. If I go back, I just hope it's there when I get back there.
But Alberta Cameron was an exception. We're told that just a handful of people showed up at the shelters here in the Florida Keys. Matt?
Nick Bogert in Key Largo this morning. Nick, thank you very much.
Now, Erin changed her course. She missed Miami. She'll hit the beach further up the Florida coast. Even the shuttle took shelter from the storm. Good evening. We're tracking Hurricane Erin for you right now. There is no question she will hit the central coast of Florida, but exactly when and where?
She's a tricky storm. She fooled some forecasters this morning when she veered north of Miami towards Vero Beach. Our forecaster, Nick Gregory, figured she'd do just that. Right now on Nick's radar screen, Erin is a swirling green blob inching towards the coast, and it'll be uglier when it hits land. Rita Cosby has the latest from Palm Beach.
Rosanna, it's been raining here in Palm Beach all evening. The ocean is roaring. It's already splashing over the seawall, and high tide doesn't hit until midnight. We're already feeling the hurricane's force. The biggest storm of 1995 has its eye on the Florida coast. This couple lives a block away from the ferocious roars of the ocean here in West Palm Beach.
It's frightening to think that there's something out there and you just don't know where it's going to hit and what's going to happen.
We're just expecting the worst.
So are police who've blocked off roadways.
The maximum sustained winds are about 85 miles an hour.
Many other emergency personnel are based here at the command center, listening to hourly updates and following the storm's path.
You're welcome. Information Center.
These volunteers answer calls round the clock from desperate residents ready to evacuate.
Well, I worked 24 straight before I took a break, and I'm back again. And it's been very busy.
If you need candles, they're in the rear of the store.
And grocery stores are busy too, selling out of essential items like bread and water.
This is like Christmas, which is the busiest day of the year, the day before Christmas.
But residents over much of the Florida coast know it's no holiday. They are boarding up, leaving their shops and homes, boarding this bus to a nearby shelter with Hurricane Andrew fresh in their minds.
My sister said they stayed in their house, and they said it was like a freight train going over the top of the roof, and she said it was pretty scary, so I know I'm scared.
The hurricane is expected to hit land around 5 a.m. in Fort Pierce, Florida. That's about 40 miles north of here. But her presence is already being felt all along the Florida coast. Reporting from Palm Beach, Florida, Rita Cosby, Fox News. Now back to you, Rosanna.
Okay, thanks, Rita. Well, NASA's not taking any chances with Erin. The shuttle Endeavour is scheduled to blast off later this week from Cape Canaveral, but today they moved it off the launch pad back into the hangar to protect it from the storm.
Well, it's not only astronauts. Erin has thousands of people changing their travel plans. No flights are going in or out of South Florida. That means you can't fly to or from Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and West Palm. So if you're headed anywhere near there, quite obviously, call the airport before you go anywhere. Nick, as you know, has been tracking the storm for days. He's been right on the money all along. In fact, he even nailed the time last night when she would be considered a hurricane. He's here now with his first on Fox Weather. Nick?
John, we've been keeping an eye on that storm all night long, as you're mentioning, and where I tell you, the storm has just about held its strength at 85-mile-an-hour winds, basically 125 miles to the east-southeast of Vero Beach, Florida, continues moving to the west-northwest at about 14 miles an hour. You can see that on the satellite picture. Notice again the thunderstorm sort of wrapping around the center here. There could be just a little more strengthening before it goes onshore. Probably about 2 o'clock in the morning is what we're looking at, and we're picking up the eye on the radar. Look at the movie loop here. You can see the center of the storm start over the Bahamas here. That's Grand Bahama Island, and spinning its way. Here's Vero Beach. That's about where it looks like that center of the storm is going to pass. Somewhere just north of Vero Beach as it continues its trek inland. So they're going to be getting a lot of rain and a lot of wind, and even some flooding, of course, at high tide. There's the hurricane warning all along the east coast of Florida, but we have a tropical storm warning now that's up for the west coast of Florida. I'll tell you exactly where Erin's going, if it'll affect our weather, and our full forecast, too, coming up a little later on the 10 o'clock news. John and Rosanna?
Okay, thank you, Nick.
If you don't create some serious damage for me, I won't know until the morning.